What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Tavion, otherwise known as Bullish with T, back with another video. In this video, I'm going to be doing a trade breakdown of a trade I took on Tuesday. Today's Thursday. I closed out of my trade. I profited. I'll put the screenshot somewhere on my screen here. But I'm breaking down this trade and what I'm expecting to see with Nas. Let's get started. Guys, as stated, this video is going to be a trade breakdown of a trade that I've held since Tuesday, so for about 2 days, so on and so forth. So in this video, I'm actually breaking down this sell trade I took on Nas. I manually pulled out of that trade, but profited pretty well on it as well. But I'm going to be breaking down the trade I took on Nas and breaking down what I'm looking for next before my next entry. So with that being started, let's go ahead and get into this. So looking into the market right now, for me personally, if there's one thing I've learned about the market, especially when it comes down to things like London, New York, Asian session, within certain sessions, I've noticed that there's typically a move that will, in a sense, fake out, right? It'll give that idea that price is going to continue in that direction, and it typically will. But then it'll do a move and it'll fake out and then it'll go in the direction that people predict. So for me, before this happened here, because I'll tell you right now, I took a sell at 12,049, so roughly around here when it came down to Nas 100. So several reasons of why I was looking at that level. One, it is a key level based upon this level I noticed right over here, and I do keep these things in mind. So for me personally, one thing I like to keep in mind are previous highs and lows, because one thing that I love to always remind, especially people I teach, and by the way, join the Discord below if you haven't done so, guys. It is absolutely free as of right now, where I'm going live on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But something I like to remind the students I teach in the Discord chat is price likes to repeat itself, meaning there's times where price loves to come back to previous price levels. So that's why highs and lows, especially if you break down, whether it's supply and demand, looking at order blocks, imbalances, not so much as imbalances, but when you break down all these ways of why people are getting into trades, retests, so on and so forth, it's typically based upon highs and lows. But I keep each level in mind when price doesn't broke through. So for example, there was a point where I kept this price area in mind and whatnot, but seeing that price broke through last time, this is the last one I kept in mind. So the reason I got into this trade is, one, it retested off of this level. I'm not sorry, retested, it retraced to this level and then started to come back, and I knew that was a good sign that price wanted to come back down. But more importantly, I knew that around this time was London session, soon to be going into New York session. And typically what I've noticed around London session on some, if not most pairs, is it'll create a big momentum candlestick. So a big momentum candlestick is literally this thing right here. So it will have some huge momentum going, because typically, and this happens often too, typically when you have a candle that starts off like this, where it finishes off bullish with barely no wick to the top and it finishes as a long bullish or even bearish candle, typically it gives the idea that there's huge momentum in the market, which it is. But in this case, I knew, because it was around London session, I was being very mindful that price may create that big momentum candle, which it did, but also potentially create a fake out. So I still kept this level in mind, and as you can see, price did break through that level just a little bit, but it's not enough for me to say, okay, I'm still not interested in looking into and whatnot. But again, breaking down the whole London, quote unquote fake out and whatnot, is I've noticed is when price does have that huge momentum, it will eventually reverse. If not, what I've noticed most of the time, price will reverse, instead of necessarily continuing. So let me give you like a quick drawn breakdown. So typically what I notice is, even if price is set to say it's going to go up, say it's go up, and you got huge momentum here, at some point I realized that price will also, even if it's a little bit of retracement or quite amount, price will retrace after that and then potentially continue. So in this case, it did not continue, but the reason I took this sell and was confident about the sell was because I was keeping in mind of not only all of price and liquidity that's down in this area to be captured and taken, but we're still in an overall bearish market. So if you're looking at the daily here, so I'm looking at the daily here, this is something else I kept in mind. So this is today, this is Wednesday, Thursday. So this is something else that I was keeping in mind as well. This is a nice potential for a reversal. And truth be told, it still looks really good for price to come down to my take profit area. So I already have pulled out, as you have just seen from the screenshot, but I am now looking for a re-entry in Nas100, which is now going to break down what I'm looking for. So originally I was thinking, I was like, okay, I could take this buy because, in a sense, this is a higher low, higher high, or higher high, so on and so forth. Which in that case, trend is your friend. You want to follow the trend, but the overall trend is bearish. And like I said, we see that on the daily, and it's looking really, really nice for that to become a reversal, and so forth, especially seeing what it's going to do for Friday. I typically don't trade Fridays. If I do, it's typically like in the morning, because Friday is the last day of the trading week, unless you're trading crypto, of course. But seeing these patterns here of huge wick rejection, and we have that same thing here, gave me that confidence that Nas has a really good chance of potentially breaking through this point here. And I'm going based on this level over here from this lower low. But getting right back into this, of what I'm looking for next, because I don't want to keep this video too long, is I'm now waiting for price to get in my area, either supply area of supply and demand, or my area of Fibonacci. So if you don't know now, so the green area, where you see the green box, is my level Fibonacci. Just to draw that out and show how that's been, how that got there, is you take from the top to the bottom, and then extend it out. And now what I'm waiting for in the sense of Fibonacci is waiting for price to come in this area, fill, and then take another sell. But it also just also lines up with my area of supply and demand. So truth be told, I could even mark this area just in case as a level of supply and demand. If you don't know how supply and demand works, typically what you're doing in this case of a high, you're taking the last candlestick before the shift or the reversal happens. So typically there's a rule of thumb where they say when there's like 2 or 3 candlesticks, whether that's bullish or bearish, the last candle before that at that higher low, you want to mark from wick to wick, which, let me bring this up a little bit. So wick to wick, and just to zoom it in a little bit, from the top of this wick to the bottom, that's what you want to mark as your area of supply and or demand, depending on the direction you're marking it. So that way, if price does come up here, and let's just say price fills in this area just a little bit, so on and so forth, then we can have a great area or a great idea that price may go for a sell. So I'm going to keep that there for now, because that did just form not too long ago, like I believe like overnight. But because I do have not just my Fibonacci area zone area here, but also the supply demand area here, I'm also keeping in mind of this, to where if price does fill this area, and again, looking on the daily, I could definitely see it. I could actually see it in due sort. Truth be told, I could see it potentially not even coming back to this price area. It really does depend. So on and so forth. I even think this candlestick may be a huge momentum daily candlestick as well. So that's why I'm going to be very, very patient, because I can see both ways happening. So I'm going to keep both areas here. But that's simply what I'm looking for. And the thing about it is, when it comes down to a trading plan and a trading strategy, I am not really looking for anything else until these areas are met. Now, is it possible that price could literally dump, like literally right at this? Absolutely. But the thing about it is, we do not know. It's like nobody always knows where the market is going. This is why we analyze, we backtest, we practice, we're sitting and predicting where price is going to go based off of areas of price action, so on and so forth. But that's really what I'm looking for when it comes down to this, because if you've seen in my previous videos, or if you've been in my live sessions, I talk about Fibonacci, supply, demand, order blocks, so on and so forth quite a bit. And it's a pretty simple and easy method to get down as well. But again, if you haven't done so already, please make sure you join that Discord. It is absolutely free, building the community as we go, and I'm proud of where it's going. To wrap this video up, guys, again, I really just feel focused on breaking down, the trade I took and I saw. Again, I don't even mention, but I actually closed out at 11,520, like literally 29, but it was on this candlestick, this bullish candlestick here when I closed out of it. But we broke down, the trade entry I took, and broke down what I'm expecting next. But that's really as simple as it can be. There's always going to be different scenarios and whatnot in the market, clearly, but keep it very simple.